energy. And it's not something that you need to go searching for. It's in the very air that's surrounding you. It's moving in a circular motion around the entire planet. And it's very high frequency, life force energy of your star family. The color of Porlana Sea is like a beautiful, brilliant, fluorescent blue. Part of the Halion ray. Part of Michael. Of course, part of the Mother. But see this beautiful blue flame. Like the blue that comes out of a gas jet or a welding torch. The blue that you see in your third eye right now. And breathe in this blue. Feel your shoulders throw back, pull them back. Open up your chest. Relax. But feel that rib cage entirely open. And your central channel from your crown, from above your crown, from about the 16th chakra on up, down past your root, wide open to Gaia herself. That beautiful central column of your being, crack it wide open. Now breathe and receive this beautiful fluorescent blue. Feel it coming down through your higher chakras, through the roof of your head, the roof of your mouth, your throat, your high heart, your rib cage. Feel it explode and jerk into your Halion center. Your solar plexus, your belly button, your beautiful tummy, your pubic, your root. Shoot it on down like a gas flame, down towards Gaia. And let's open up this stream and just fill yourself. And feel each and every one of your chakras being activated, brought to a more rapid pulse, a higher frequency that you feel you got your hand in the electrical socket, that you're humming. Bring it on. Now feel yourself connecting to our beautiful Earth Mother Gaia, to this ancient, wondrous being, and pulling up that ruby red, that rich red, that life force red, and it's blending with the Porlana Sea, and it's a beautiful, rich magenta amethyst. Pull it up through your root, through your pubic. Don't forget, these are your areas for creation on earth. Into your tummy, into your sacral, into your umbilical, into your solar, into your heart. And feel these intertwining, caressing and dancing like that gas jet with your beautiful tri-flame, with your perfect pink, with the infinite gold of the Father and the infinite blue of the Mother. Feel them juiced up, dancing more brightly, more vitally, more exuberantly. Breathe it in. And open and receive. This is an energy that is penetrating the entire planet, but it is also an energy you can choose to build on, receive more of, and allow the activations to be more rapid. So open your heart. Feel that connection to your star family. This is their life force, their love force. And anchor it. Anchor it in each chakra. Anchor it from your crown down. Crown, third eye, fourth eye, throat, lower throat, high heart, heart. Halion, solar, umbilical. Sacral, pubic root. Feel it all the way down to the arches of your feet. Feel it fill your bones like an electrical impulse passing through your entire body. It is enervating, energizing, but not exhausting. And let it flow.
Oh, good. Everybody muted themselves. Sorry, I did start taping. So welcome everyone. This channeling is all about from Ashira, commander of the Unified Forces of the Outer Galaxies, and it's the fifth galactic channeling that we have been looking at. Okay, so let's just jump right in. This one's from 2014, March the 25th. And Ashira says, greetings, greetings, I am Ashira. Welcome and welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for having me back. We have been very busy, but everybody on Earth, consciously and unconsciously, has also been very busy. Even when you sit in prayer, in the void, in meditation, in co-creation, dear hearts, you are busy. There are so many attunements and adjustments that are taking place. So it is important as you realize that this is underway. No, it is not merely what we're doing in terms of bathing all of you and sweet Gaia in the pink light. And we thank those of you who have captured this pink light in the physical realms to share, because this is but another indicator of how we are in cooperative union. There is a great deal of discussion with the Council of Love, of which you and I are part of. And I mean you, everyone who is listening to this program, whether it is current or later, it matters not. We are part of the same mission and purpose. And I believe everyone actually is a part of the Council of Love. It's just Everyone is included. No one is excluded. Do we have different elements, different facets of the plan? Yes, we do, but the commonality first of our love, and I do not simply mean unconditional love in the general sense, which of course this includes, but I mean our love for you. We see you. We consider you as part of our mission and purpose, and we are colleagues. We are in collaboration. We are in alignment. We are in allegiance for this completion, which is merely a new beginning of the Universal Mother's plan. So many of you have said, and we always hear you, by the way, you say to us, I am lonely, I feel isolated and alone. As some of you say this, you are surrounded by family and friends or are in partnership, what you call marriage, and yet still your plaintive cry as I feel alone is heard. You are not alone. There are many forms of sacred union and not all of them have been addressed, or there is a wealth of information. But what I wish to say as we begin today, there is the individual sacred union, soul to soul, heart to heart, person to person, but there is also sacred unions of collectives, of heart promises, love and caring of collectives. So we of the unified forces of the outer galaxies, and I do not misspeak if I say that all of the various commands hold this vision and this knowing, this commitment. We are in sacred union with you, not only with each other, but with you, and particularly with you who are awake, who are aware not only of our presence, but of our love. To us, of course, always in honor to the mother and to universal law, which we will never break, but that this union means in a very practical sense is we tend to you, we tend to all of you. That is why right now we send you the pink light, pink cocoon. We do not betray you. We do not usurp your power. We honor you. We honor your brilliance, your light, your commitment, your pathways. Many times that is why we do not interfere. And you say, well, we wish, Ashira, you would interfere a little more, but understand there is an element that you also know what you are doing. So often we have said we will not come in a way that can be translated by anyone, that we would not exhibit ways that could be thought of as invasion, that we will not land in ways that would create fear. There are still many fear mongers upon your planet. But simply because we have not as yet, and that is an emphasis, landed en masse, it does not mean that we are not with you. Look to your night skies, look to the keepers of the council fire. So that's the fire with Gaia in the middle of the planet. You can journey there to be with the keepers. And even look subtly or actually at the energies of who surrounds you interdimensionally. Your rooms, your cars, your living rooms are full. So, and then he asked Suzanne where she wishes to begin. And Susie says, Selective Ashira, thank you for joining us again today. I would like to start, if I may, with asking you for detail on the meaning and proper use of that term, Selective, as well as perhaps hearing what a proper greeting would be when we do get face to face. I think I might want to hug you in my excitement, but I do get that launching into such an enthusiastic contact straight away might not be so welcome. And Ashira says, oh, we would welcome it. When Linda has done the full meditation and indicated how anxious we are to hug you, to embrace you, where do you wish to start? With the term sacred union or with the greeting? And Susie said the greeting. And Ashira says, there is a tendency that has been adopted by many of us on greeting one another, if it is close, of 2 fingers to the heart. So it's like 2 fingers directed right at the heart chakra, which the council has taught you. And in that way, there is a heart linking that it happens, and it is a beautiful exchange, because what happens in that linking, in that connection, is what you are doing is you are saying, I permit you to see me. Any word of greeting, whether it is intergalactic, telepathic, or any language of earth, is permissible and welcome. Welcome is welcome, it does not matter. But there are many situations, and this is because the fear factor will not be present, is that we will simply embrace one another. Now, you've all had the experience, so let us speak of this frankly, where you've gone to a gathering or a party or a family event where someone is holding anger, angst, etc., fear, and they hug you and you can feel the brittleness, the separation, the I'll hug you, but don't come close to me. Is that not sad? So when we encounter those situations, what we do is simply nod or slightly bow to one another because we do not invade. Not on ships, not on other planets. We do not invade someone's personal space who is not willing to truly share their heart. So it will work to you like an old-fashioned half bow nodding of the head. It is to acknowledge the person, but to say, because we very clearly read each other's energy fields, so there's never really a question of it. So if that is the situation, we simply bow or nod and move on. And then Susie says, the word selectivate, would you say more about that? What language it is and what the real meaning of it is? Selective A is a well-known term that is simply one of the ways of saying hello or namaste in intergalactic language, which is a language that is used far and wide. It is a universal language. It is very similar to namaste. It is hello and I welcome you, I honor you, because that is always a safe greeting. And Susie said, there's been a shift of epic proportions that has taken place over the past equinox week. So this goes back to March 2014. Would you please speak to what may be different from when we last spoke on the air a week ago? And Ashira said, there is a huge heart opening. And in that heart opening, there is a greater flow of rebirth, not of love, but the willingness to embrace love, the willingness to utilize universal law, the willingness to create and co-create, the willingness to go forward. So this has been a true opening to do with your center of choice and decision and will. So that is one thing that has happened. With the heart opening, what is also occurring with the willingness, with the readiness, is also the preparedness to go forward so that there is very little, what we are observing, very little looking back, because part of the collective human tendencies has been to truly dwell and in many situations simply live in the past, so that you are continually caught on a wheel or in a situation or a cycle of living in the past, rather than creating your now or creating the future. So you are so busy reflecting on what has happened, you are recreating it in what you think of as your present and your now. The other thing that is occurring, which is heart opening, is that there is greater clearing. So what you are seeing is that some of the old debris, what you would have thought of as old debris, and yes, we can hear you swearing all the way up to the Neptune. There's been several times when there's more clearing that's needed. And okay, that you thought was over and done with has been reemerging. So it seems like this is kind of an ongoing thing because I'm still feeling it. Well, we understand that sometimes in your culture, swearing and screaming helps. We find it peculiar, but we understand it. So that is what's going on. So it feels like as we evolve, there's still like deeper work to do. And I feel like we're doing it for more. Our fields are able to hold more in the collective. So there may be always more for a while. So just keep letting go no matter what. And then Susie says, I've been wondering about emotions in the higher dimensions. Is there fear? And Ashira says there is fight or flight. And that is very different from fear, because fear is simply how human beings have experienced, or shall we say, nourished fear. They've made it their best friend. When we say something to you or to ourselves that we are on high alert, for example, that can mean anything. That there is a tumultuous asteroid shower to which we are getting ready to land, and it can be filled with joy and excitement, but we do not live in fear. That is where what you do when you're living in that cycle, in that wheel of the past, you are living in fear because you think that what happened either yesterday or 2000 years ago is going to definitely repeat. You do not even really tend to give it a lot of latitude. So of course you're calling in those very creation codes, even as you have these thoughts. So do we have fight or flight mechanisms? Yes, that has not been taken away. So it's interesting how we call it the creation codes here, us in the cycle of repeat. So it's a good one to really check to see if we're just repeating old feelings. Are we aware of what fear looks or tastes or smells like? Yes, and that capacity is something that we have kept attuned within all of us, and I will tell you why. It is like an internal radar. So if we encounter someone, now we are not talking about a human coming on board ship. There is always a level of nervousness and even a trace of fear. But what we are talking about is each other. If we were to encounter, and this is not something that, and this has not happened in hundreds of years, let me tell you that. If we are to encounter, say, a colleague or a new arrival from a distant quadrant and they come on board and we perceive fear in them, then it is a warning bell to us that either they are fearful of being discovered because they are up to something that is not of light and love and ethical behavior, or they are afraid of us and what we may or may not do, which immediately informs us of some of their planetary or galactic history, that nervousness is still there. So we immediately do things energetically and actually physically to allay those fears. Fear is often something that people, galactic or otherwise, try to hide. So we have radar for fear. We know what it is. We know how to address it, but do we live in fear is your question? No. There have been times when on Earth, particularly in the United States of America, where your military has been put on high alert and actually launched to threaten us, prevent our landing. Our reaction to that fear, because that is an action born of fear, is not reciprocal to act in fear. We understand it, but we do not mirror it. So for example, when you have all your fighter jets and your arsenal of missiles aimed at us, because we have let down our screens, our reaction is not fear. If anything, it is compassion. But then we will retreat because we see that our actions cannot result in violence. And if we read the tea leaves, as it were, that the reaction is going to be violence, then we simply put up our screens of invisibility. Susie says, well, yes, well, thank you for telling me that. And I just want to apologize. It makes me sad that there are humans that would do such things. I would guess that there's no such thing as war in 5D and higher. And it makes me wonder in what dimension the often referred to galactic wars took place. Is all that done with, or does galactic war still rage on? And Ashira said, no, galactic war is done with, and it took place, well, in what you would think of as a variation of the third dimension. It was, we do not have the same spectrum necessarily as you, but it was also interdimensional. So it was primarily third, fourth, fifth. And of course, the lessons of those wars, thousands of years, have taught us the devastation incomparable, but it taught us never to engage that way again. So no, they do not rage on. That is why we get to come in peace. And Susie said, yes, I'm very grateful for that. You said it ranged up to 5D. And Ashira says, yes, brush the fifth dimension. But again, you see our existence and our knowing of existence in the various dimensions was fully present. We have talked, or you have talked actually a great deal about cleaning up the old third. Well, there were residuals to be cleaned up in the other dimensions as well, but that has long since been done. That is why there are such places of the divine qualities. In the fourth dimension, the use of what you would think of in your mind as magic or alchemy was used in a negative way. So for example, in your military situation, the shielding of our planes, of our craft, of the motherships, but even the tiniest explorer ships could very easily by your military be assigned to the fourth dimension. Well, what technology, what magic, alchemy do they have that they can do this? It evokes fear, but to us, it is simply flipping between dimensions. It is common. And Susie asks, could you talk about how conflict resolution looks for you? Surely there are disagreements. I mean, you're all different people and individuals, and you do have more of a group mind than we do, but surely there's got to be conflict of some sort. And Ashira says, there are conflicts. You have a saying on earth, which we like, get over it. We do not allow, by joint agreement, both formal and informal, we do not allow conflict to fester. Not upon our ship, the Neptune, not throughout our fleet, and that is true of all the fleets. What we have found over the years, for many, many years, is that conflict is best addressed head on, never in a way that is considered confrontational though. Again, the only reason that conflict primarily tends to emerge is either because of fear or feelings of lack of self-worth or feelings of exaggerated ego or self-worth. So how do we address this? When, and particularly because we are in what we have talked about, a confined environment, you cannot allow conflict to grow. It would be highly disruptive and destructive. When conflict is identified, and there are a number of ways in which it is identified, it can be identified either by the individual or by family or by colleagues or friends. Everybody has the responsibility, not merely the right, but the responsibility to speak up when conflict seems to be occurring. And we do this so it does not escalate. Then it is addressed. Your expression would be nipped in the bud. Initially, when there is conflict, say between two people, there is encouragement, and we mean formal encouragement for these two individuals to talk. Depending on the level of tension, they're either encouraged to use intergalactic language, so there is no hidden meaning, or even to speak in peril, which is an intergalactic language developed after the intergalactic wars, which has no emotion. It communicates perception of facts, but it is not charged with feeling. A similarity in your culture would be nonviolent communication. If the two people involved sit down and are not able to reach a place of agreement, and we don't simply mean agreement in terms of, well, I agree to simply ignore you. To us, that is not agreement. There has to be a return to what we would call unity consciousness. And what you are learning also as unity consciousness, if that is not forthcoming, or if the initial identification of the conflict is of such a nature, of such a tense feeling, then immediately a negotiator, a third party, is introduced. Many on ship and throughout the fleet, all of the fleets are trained in this area of being the negotiator. Mediator would be your term. It is for the mediator to assist the 2 parties or the 10 parties, but we're talking personal conflict still, to come to agreement and resolution. Resolution isn't simply tolerance. It is truly the return to the appreciation of that soul and the elimination of the fear, the angst, the tension, etc. Many on ship are trained in this. So in addition to their other responsibilities, many have this as something that they do on a voluntary basis because it promotes peace, tranquility, serenity, workability amongst us. It is a given. So it is not a matter, oh, we have to wait to have a negotiator before we can talk. Any number of negotiators do and are willing immediately to step in. Things are not permitted to fester, and the discussion goes on until that middle ground is found. Now that does not mean that we lock people in a room for 10 hours until they reach agreement. There is breathing time in between. Very often people have that initial conversation and then they have need to go off to be in their sacred space, to be feeling that they are not under the microscope, as it were, and do their own reflection of their role and their feelings about why they are behaving in such a manner. It is never permitted to go on. It is not acceptable in our culture, in our society, however you think of us, to grow. Now, when there are differences of opinions on a more formal basis, or areas of conflict, say between groups, formal groups, then it is the same process, but it is more formalized. Susie says it doesn't feel terribly different from what humans living from their heart would do to resolve conflict. And Ashira said, this is one of the ways in which we want to tell you how far you have come. You know, there is a great deal of discussion because we hear it all. Yes, we do eavesdrop constantly. And then we have many of you coming on board ship and reporting in as well every single day and night. So you have evolved in this. Now, where you are falling down, shall we say, or where there is room for growth is in the formal setting of conflict. And in fact, if anything, part of what has occurred, certainly in the last few years, is that you've gone backward, back into that old paradigm where there is not truly negotiated peace. Negotiated win-win would be your expression. So if you look to Venezuela or to the Ukraine or to Syria, these situations are not being negotiated with strong, powerful negotiator, third party with power to resolve. This is the thing they say, well, we will get together and talk, but there is no agreement to have successful outcome. And that does not work because if you do not have the agreement to successful outcome as a starting point, you can talk until bears immigrate once again from Sirius. And then Susie says, bears, you said? And then this is where Ashira says, yes, the bears, the whales, the dolphins, the dogs, they all came via Sirius. And I believe they came in aboard ships. That's how they came here. So Susie says, well, may I ask what it means to you to be a galactic or even a global citizen? Like, we can identify with being Hussian, for example, and still consider life from a much larger perspective. So is there loyalty to any specific group or idea for you? And Ashira says, I am loyal to my family. And I mean that in the most private and individual sense. And then it is a spiral that grows from there. I am loyal to my fleet. I am loyal to my planet, to my home planet, although I have not been there in a long time. I am loyal to the entire universe. So we do not have this sense of either or, quite the contrary. It grows, it has layers, but our loyalty truly starts with our loyalty to the Divine Mother. And like you, to the ascended ones, to the archangels, to the various masters. So everything is measured against that. You see, it is to us, and we find this curious, so I do not wish to be politically incorrect. So I'll be very careful in my wording. If one is loyal and in service to the mother, then you are utilizing and living according to universal law and what you have named the divine qualities of compassion and prudence and patience, etc. And that look to yourself, to your beloved, and by the way, we tend to be monogamous, to our families, to what we see as a very large family, what you would think of as a clan, and out to our ship and our shipmates, to our fleet, to our nations, to our sectors. It is a continuous circle spiral. We find it peculiar if one can say that they truly love God, love the mother, father, one, source, Buddha. It doesn't matter how you are naming this, and that you are in service, not servitude, by the way, service to the one, and you're not in service to your family, or you are not in service to your neighbor, or that you love God but hate people who are different than you. This is more than confusing. And he says, this is the heart of chaos. This is what has need to be healed. And this is what our pink is doing for you. But more importantly, it is what the mother's gift of clarity and purity and her tsunami will address. But this is the biggest stumbling block, this division. It is incomprehensible. I mean, you may say that you are vegetarian and that you love carrots and don't care for lima beans, but you would never wage war on lima beans. It makes that much sense. And then Susie asks about, are you able to keep tabs on individual thoughts and feelings? what I'd really like to get at is how well you could know any of us individually from so far away. To what extent can ship above the planet really understand the motivations and feelings of an individual on the surface? Is that a fair question? And Ashira says, it is always a fair question. Is it a question that can be answered, fully answered? Well, I will try. We are not spying on you. I'm teasing you, he says. See, that is one of the things you have to get used to, our humor. And he says, you have a tendency for defensiveness because there has been so much spying done in your various countries, and you're very defensive about your rights to privacy, as you should be. So let me preface what I say to thee, is that we never interfere with someone's personal space. We do not view you or look at you if you've not given us the okay sign, but when you do, there are variations because there are people on earth who truly wish a very close relationship with us. And this is true not only of the star seeds and the hybrids. Many, many people, and of course you already know, are yearning to be in community with you. So when there is that individual calling out, as it were, we do watch you. Do we watch you 24/7? Not generally, unless you're one of our troops, in which case you are on our radar constantly. That is another matter. Most of who are part of our troops on the ground, as it were, are fully aware that they are being observed. Now, we do not observe their private moments. That would be inappropriate. But we also hear telepathically, not just orally, but telepathically, the cries for help, the questions, the greetings. The number of greetings that we receive from the humans on a daily basis is in the billions. Billions and billions, and they are received with gratitude, with glee, with warmth, and we transmit back our greetings. And very often you may not know where the warm feeling came from, but we definitely answer. So we have different levels, obviously, of observation. Your planet, sweet Gaia, and all your operations, so we say, not merely military, but industrial, agricultural, or agricultural business, these are always being monitored. Then within that, we have a specific initiative. We have spoken to you of our communications initiative to be able to be more clearly use language and terminology, emotion that speaks more directly to each of you, and to know more readily how to tune our energy fields to you and yours to us. So that is, for example, one initiative. Another initiative is the science initiative, whereby we are introducing new technology, placing it as inspiration in a variety of people's minds. But then we also do it in terms of suggesting subtly that this be done on a communal level or a cooperative level, an international level, because it promotes exactly the type of community that we are encouraging and supporting. Do we force? No. But do we suggest it? Yes. Then there are situations where we are observing what we would call high alert to make sure that there is no devastation or further devastation upon the planet of Gaia. There are certain levels of oblivion that will not be permitted. And Susie says, thank you. You've mentioned troops on the ground. Are there troops that you have that are unaware of the fact that they are troops? No. Those who have been positioned, and what we are saying when I'm using this term, I'm talking about those who are part of the various commands and who have been positioned either permanently or back and forth for various specific assignments, back and forth to the planet to help the Earthlings to get ready and adjusted for being with us and with you. But then there's a whole other category of individuals who knows that they are working subtly and perhaps not so subtly with us, either in their dream time or through their energetic field, through their sacred space. And that knowing is also growing very rapidly. For example, look how you feel, sweet angel. And Susie says, oh, for sure, it's wonderful. It's an expanding experience of connection. And I'm so grateful for this series right now, because as far as I know, we haven't had conversations before, but as this series continues, it feels like a renewing of bonds. To be honest, I feel like I know you. And Ashira says, you do know me, and many of you know me. And it is a renewal, and it is part of the plan. It is part of the unfoldment. We are as anxious as you are. And Susie says, I really get that. You mentioned a bit about technology. Could you speak to the concept of conscious technology and what kind of gadgets we'll be using instead of our cell phones and computers or even our cars? And Ashira says, well, you love your cars. You probably love your cars the same way that we love our little to and from ships, shall we say, our little explorer ships. So we are not suggesting that you will lose your cars, but we will assist with very rapidly is let's clean up the cars. You can keep your car, they will be modified. Let us put it that way. There will be other forms of transportation that are more efficient or effective, but that does not eliminate the love affair that human beings have with their cars. It is the same. We have this discussion at the Intergalactic Council. Oh, my father is sometimes ready to pull out his hair, and this is Grinner, about humans' love of currency because there is this love affair with currency. So it has been decided as part of the plan that currency will continue to be in form for a while because you love it. So we would never arrive and say that you really don't need that anymore. So you can have the currency if you so wish. So he's talking about the money there, that we love money. But there will be what we would call communique devices. And that would be, again, is there a requirement for people to give up their telephones, their cell phones, their various equipment? No, we would never do that. But just like thousands of you go and line up for the latest cell phones, many of you will line up and want the communique instruments because they work better. And by the way, they are free. So you can keep your rotary dial phone. Susie says, I don't want them. And Ashira says, yes, chances are you will not want them. You will have replicators, you will have various pieces of equipment, but none of this would ever require you to relinquish what you truly like. So if you are one that still writes with pen and paper, we have no problem with that. In fact, what you're going to find, there is very little that we have problems with. Where our problem areas exist is in the area of conflict, of cruelty, of unkindness, of the acceptance, and this is something that we have not truly talked about, but the acceptance of disease as a given. And that, my dear friends, is absurd. So there is no illness in the higher realms. And Ashira says, so will there be future generation computers? Yes. Will there be more automation? If you can think of it that way in the household, yes. But the biggest shift, and we can't wait, although we will, is the cleaning up of the cities, clean, pure air, water, cities, countries, nations. You have so many wars that are centering around gas and oil. This is absurd. So what we will bring forth is the way to work with energy in various alternative ways so that you do not need to keep maiming and drilling Mother Earth. And Susie says, given the ability to get going on cleanup in conjunction with you, I can guarantee a very large contingent of enthusiastic humans to team up with that. Can we please get on with it? And Ashira said, there are millions of you that are already doing this with us, both aware and not aware. So when you do your work to clean the oceans, to clean the soil, to clean the air, you are working with us. And dear hearts, we are not only welcoming you, we are utilizing you. So this is when we like literally pray for clean oceans, or we imagine everything cleaned up. Saint Germain said to us when we do laundry to imagine as you're doing laundry that you're cleaning up the world. Anytime you're cleaning anything, our imagination actually helps with this cleanup that's going on. And then of course, that helps with us eliminating the false belief systems. So Susie goes on, she says, it's just that it's in our face. that things like fracking and all the energy things that you're mentioning that are completely unnecessary, it still continues. And the transportation of fossil fuels and the spilling in the Gulf of Mexico into our water supply, people can light their tap water on fire. It's very troubling. And it seems that no amount of protest is changing it. And then Ashira says it will be one of the first and most significant changes, even before the personal technology, the cleaning up of Gaia of this type of rape and pillage will be ceased. So personally, I think it's connected to us letting go of the belief systems as well. So as within, so without. So the more we are in divine alignment, that is what helps create that divine alignment on the planet as well. Susie says, thank you for that. Last week, you mentioned interbreeding between humans and galactics. There seems to be a great potential for both, an influx and an outpouring of both of our populations. We can learn a great deal from one another as we mix together. Do you feel this to be a potential in the foreseeable future? And Ashira said it is already happening. So yes, there will be a great outpouring because this is one of the practicalities or demonstrations of divine sacred unions. This is how we join together. Many of you, and we are complimented by the way, many of you find your preferred partner in a star being, as we do with you, because do not forget, we have known each other through many, many lifetimes. Many of you who are honored or of the stars have been with us time after time after time, and our love for you personally and generally collectively has not diminished. If anything, it has grown. We yearn for those sacred unions, and there are many of you who know that your partner is with us. And Susie says, can you say anything about how you'll come and bring first contact? And Ashira says, we will not give it away, but we will say that it is very, very close. And I say this to all of you, my beloved friends, look out your back door. And I think he means something else there, but maybe we'll discuss that after. Susie says, okay, so we've reached a place that open relations can begin then. Ashira says, yes, the adjustments of frequencies. Now we will have open relationships with everybody, not until some of this other conflict is cleaned up. And Susie says, all right, transportation from Earth to a ship, from ship to Earth. We talked about Star Trek being a visionary channeled program. Is the beaming of a body something that happens? Is it necessary that you land here in order to be here in physical? How does that work? And Ashira says, oh no, we can do both. We can absolutely do both. We can either simply send our particles that will be rearranged. There are a number of particularly reception chambers that are built for this, but no, we can either send our particles or use the smaller ships. And Susie says, okay, and it hasn't happened before because the frequency is not a good match yet, or it hasn't been. And Ashira says, oh, it has happened. It happens all the time. And then he says, when you see someone apparate in front of you, there is a tendency that might give you a bit of a heart flutter, if not an outright heart attack. We never want that to occur. But many of our beings that have been transported have simply been beamed down. They're beamed down into rather remote situations simply so there's no interference or no observance, but it is a much more rapid way of delivery than back and forth, back and forth. My beloved friends, now you say, I wish to go to my starship. I wish to be with my star brothers and sisters, particularly at night. Many of you are. You do not remember because it would deplete your energy and your attention to your mission and purpose, your current contract, as it were, upon the planet of Gaia. But many of you, when you are coming home to ship at night or actually reporting in for various shifts, many of you are working here as well. You are simply beaming up. And Susie says, well, I really look forward to the time when I can remember, because I have started to realize that I do have quarters on a ship somewhere, might even be yours. I don't even know, but I want to know. I want to have conscious awareness of that. And I know it's all in divine timing. And Ashira says, look around you. and look for the insignias of the various fleets. Our insignia is often seen or is thought of as an upside down U with two lines through it to indicate the United Forces. So look for the insignias as you go about your busy day or when you are in bed at night and you are transported on board ship. You will know where you are. Simply look and ask. You are welcome. And I say this to all of you. I welcome you as a visitor to my ship. Susie says, thank you. And Ashira says, I pray that you will remember. And that's the end of that. And I just realized I did this U here, but he says it's an upside down U. So I think the U is flipped. That's a U that's right side. So I think the U, if you're looking for the United Forces, maybe it's the other way. Who knows? Anyways, that's the end. Let me come out so we can. Okay. There we go. I don't know which way that insignia goes. He said an upside down U. So I think maybe it's the other way with lines. Anyways, I'll ask afterwards. As I was looking at him, I was saying, oh goodness, I think I did that wrong. So anyways, he says to watch for the insignias. And you know, I feel like I've seen them like on various companies here on Earth even. Like if you see a symbol that looks very galactic, take another look at it, because I think maybe things are, you know, they're here. Some of the symbols are on Earth. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, Steve, you came late.
Yeah, I just lost track of time. I apologize.
No worries. We thought you were napping.
Oh, I was eating, as a matter of fact.
Okay. There we go. So that was a lot of information.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so helpful. Did you have a question, Leanne?
I did. So I thought it was interesting, and I just want to expand on what you think about this when they were talking about the bears, the whales, and the dolphins and the dogs coming from Sirius. So does that mean that other animals are coming from different places? Like I don't understand that part.
That is a good question. He very specifically said those four
He
groups.
did. That's why I wrote them down. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard in other channelings that they were transported in ships, like aboard ship, like special ships to hold whales, you know, for instance, like with water. So, but have other things come from other planets? That is a good question. I don't know. Steve, have you heard anything else about that?
No, the only ones I've heard of are from Sirius, but I assume there are animals coming from other star systems.
Yes, there are.
Yeah.
Oh, good. There we go.
I have read about that. Obviously, because I'm so interested in cats, they have come from a specific place. I do not know what it is, but I know that for a fact. So I'm sure that there are lots of animals that come from all over in order to be with us here on Earth.
Hey,
Yeah, it's interesting that Ashira didn't talk about the cats because he's Hussian, and Hussian is the cat-like race. So
That's it.
if anyone was to ask about the cats, it would be Ashira. Yeah.
I think of Men in Black 1, where the big insect got mad because Will Smith stepped on the small insect, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Great. So yeah, and the Buddha has said not to harm anything.
Yeah.
He specifically did say that to us, I think, when we were studying compassion or one of the laws, I think. I can't remember. No, it must have been compassion.
Either Michael or the mother, sorry, Kathy,
No, go ahead.
either Michael or the mother has said that a lot of extinct species will be returning.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Remember that. Yeah. Yeah,
I-
there's
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I've been in contact for some reason with bears, like almost every week, even twice a week. The bears have been coming, like real bears. I mean, I've been seeing bears for some reason. I don't know. It's really strange.
okay, so the bears are definitely connected to the mother energy. And one of their traits is that they're really good at meditation. So hibernation. So they're like a symbol of, sometimes when we see bears, it's like encouraging us to sit still and go within.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank-
Yeah. But I do know, like, I was given that drum with the big grizzly bear on it. And the mother did tell me I carry bear energy. So I think that's like that ability to sit still and go within and using your imagination. It's like the cleanup piece that Ashira was talking about. The cleanup starts within. So the more we clean up the belief systems, that is what literally helps the without, the cleanup in the without. And I think the more we clean up within, then they can do more cleanup. Like the galactics can be more present. Because our frequency changes.
Right.
The more we clean up within, our vibration expands. We want to get to that flat line of peace, and our frequency increases so we can interact with them more. And I believe it's the sacred purpose of the galactic's boots on the ground that their purpose can come forward to do the cleanup.
Right.
For us to stop the fracking, for us to, so it's all connected to the cleanup within.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Universal law, the third law that's connected to the third dimension is the balance law, as within, so without, as above, so below. And then the blessing and virtue connected was fortitude, and it was Jesus that talked to us about the courage it takes to actually do the cleanup work. Us. Yeah. And just recently, through the Arcturians, the Daniel Scranton Arcturian group, their messages lately have been saying we've reached a whole new level and that we can manifest much more easily now. But if we're manifesting not in a lineup, we can clean that up really quick. So I've been practicing with it, and I've been finding like bits and pieces of old anger and sorrow to be let go very quickly.
Nice.
Yeah. So just even intending for that, like quick cleanup, is helpful. So if you're doing the intentions like the SK recommended every day, you can write in there, letting go sorrow, eliminating fear. Because this channeling, there was a lot of comment about fear. Yeah, which is interesting.
Well, yeah, because fear is one of the major negative emotions on the planet. So it's no wonder that he talks about it a lot.
Yeah. So just to be really conscious if we're doing something because of fear, I think.
Yeah. And by the way, Kathleen, I looked up that symbol and you have it right.
Oh, I do.
Oh,
Okay. And how did you find it? Where did you see it?
On that article that you quoted.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I might have put it in there.
Well, let's see.
Yeah. You did say an upside down U, but a U is upside down, might be like a horseshoe.
Yeah.
And it didn't even occur to me before I read that. So
you know what else? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it might have been you because the article was written by you, so maybe.
Yeah, no, I think it's me because I'm always fiddling around with stuff to make. I'm the one that's gonna be like, oh, I wonder if I can do that. Yeah. No, I'll go in and ask later. So funny.
What did you say about, could you repeat what you said about SK? You said something and then we went into some other things and I missed that.
Okay, so in the law of intent, Sanat Kumara gave us a list of intentions. I posted it a few times, but I can post it. And I do that every day. I put those intentions on a whiteboard. I have an app that I use so that I will look at them every day. And what I was recommending was to write in one of the intentions to let go all fear, all sorrow, to eliminate all fear. And we can set that intention, and then the release happens very quickly. I've noticed that I'll get an awareness and I'll feel the tears. I just allow the tears, just, no matter where I am, even if I'm out walking, I'm like walking along crying. Don't care anymore. It's like, I'm doing my work. Seems to even notice. And it happens very quick and then it's gone.
Yeah, I have to agree. It is very close to the surface, and I have been releasing a lot of tag ends in the last while, and seems like I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel now. I'm getting to the bottom, I think.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Like sometimes they'll just squeeze my head, and then they have to squeeze for a while for anything to come out. Okay, well, there's nothing there.
It's just a little deeper, that's all.
Yeah, it is kind of funny. But and then there's always their sense of humor too, like the way we're laughing about it, like, to them it's kind of funny. And that if you do have a big rage that comes up, let yourself rage. I mean, I can do it here because I'm all alone basically, but I say feel it to heal it. If there is something where you just are so furious, because it goes into other lifetimes or things have happened,
Yeah, that's right. I was taught to pound a pillow, when I get really upset. Just go in there, beat the pillow as much as you can.
We can't hear you, Steve.
You're muted.
Shout into the pillow too. If you can't shout in your house, just shout into the pillow. Works.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's like Ashira said, they see that that's part of our process. He actually said that. That was really helpful. Because sometimes, like I used to feel really guilty about it, that I was raging. And now I don't. I'm like, I'm going to rage and it's coming out. And I know I'm going to feel better afterwards. Because it's combined with tears and everything. Yeah. And I don't think it's just this lifetime. I think it's hundreds of lifetimes.
Yeah.
It hasn't been super easy here. Mhm.
Yeah, right.
And it's just the way Ashira said, like they don't operate that way, but they get that we do. So yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I think what I'll do, Mickey, is that, hello, Mickey.
Hello.
Hi, we're just finishing up. We started an hour ago.
Oh, time difference.
Yeah, whereabouts are you located?
St. Cloud, Minnesota.
Okay, so
Not Mickey Mercurio, eh?
What?
Not Mickey Mercurio?
No.
No.
okay,
You're in Central Time then.
Yes.
Okay.
so what are you Central Time, Ken?
No, we're Eastern.
Okay,
So,
you're 3 hours ahead.
yeah, and they're 2 hours ahead.
Okay, so if we start at 5, then it would be 7 o'clock your time.
Uh,
Yeah, so we do this on Tuesdays. We do meditation on Tuesday at that time, and then class on Wednesdays. And then on Fridays, it would be 9 o'clock your time. And that's a discussion. We're going to review this class on Friday if you want to come back at 9 o'clock on Friday.
Right.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, and this will be recorded too.
Recorded.
Yeah, so you can watch it. I'll post it for tomorrow.
okay.
Watch it. But I'm really glad you came. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Hey, no problem. All right, so any more questions or anything else anyone wants to discuss?
Well, I found it interesting, how they talked about, cars and phones and stuff, that they're not going to make us give them up, but we can if we want to, So it's again, a choice situation, which is beautiful, I think.
Yeah,
They're
Yeah.
gonna take out our combustion engine. What do you call it? Internal combustion engine. And they're gonna put in an anti-gravity device and we'll be flying around our cars.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm worried about is that, I mean, with the amount of accidents we have now, I can't imagine what's going to happen if people are flying around all over the place.
Well, I'm sure they'll have technology to take care of that, and better than we have today.
Well, actually, we have technology right now to take care of that. TCAS. The planes know when they're on the same level and they go up or down.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem to work in cars right now.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, I'm sure they've been giving a lot of thought to that, probably.
yeah. There is a great scene in The Fifth Element, the movie called The Fifth Element, with the car is a flying car. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well.
Just,
Yeah.
just New York will be like that.
Yeah.
I was really glad to see them that cleaning up Earth is one of their first priorities. And I think that's right on. I'm all for that.
Yep.
But it's also connected to us doing the cleanup work. I think that's a really important piece to remember, like us letting go all the belief systems. Yeah, but yeah, I agree. And then when he said, look for us out the back door, I think, the ships, how he was saying, we're right with you, look out your back door. I wonder if that's a metaphor for something too. It's like, again, cleanup, really deep cleanup within. And then we should be able to see them like they are, like the galactics are amongst us. I know they are. I've done lots of readings, and anybody that's really tall generally is galactic. They like to be tall. They like to see they like to be above the crowd to see. Yeah, so I know they're amongst us. Yeah, and look out your back door. I don't know. I think that's a metaphor for something.
Yeah, I'll have to sleep on that one. I don't get it really.
Mhm.
Well, he could have said, look out your window, look out any window or door. And you might see us. I haven't seen any, and I have been looking, but I have, and in past years I did see them.
Mhm. In the
Maybe it has to do with when you look to the side, sometimes you'll see stuff.
Yeah, peripheral.
Yeah.
So maybe it's that kind of stuff that we'll begin to focus on, or we'll be able to see better or something.
Who knows?
And I took that cloud picture that's on the front of the slideshow, that the cover page of I took that right outside this window, and I'm sure that was a ship. And they just lifted the invisibility for a minute so I could see it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Huh.
Mhm.
no clouds today.
A lot of really my window. Yeah, they can make the clouds into beautiful shapes.
Yeah. Yeah, some of them are really beautiful, that's for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, one day when I did a real intense clearing out, the head of the grizzly bear head that's on my drum was out in the clouds.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I think that's what the bears are all about, Leanne. That really deep clearing
Right.
that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're probably saying thank you because you are doing that
Mm,
when you see one like that.
okay.
Seeing it in the physical. Yeah.
Right.
And Sirius is a really funny planet. Like that, it's got a serious name, but they say it's not a serious place at all.
And it's interesting, the bears that I've seen have been, I mean, I don't have a lot of fear. I know a lot of people do, but they've been playful. Like they'll like, I'm still a good distance, but they'll run towards me, even though it's you know, I couldn't be harmed because the distance is still far. And then they run away, like almost like a dog playing, you know? It's really interesting.
Okay, so that's the new realm too, where we will be interacting with the animals like that.
Right, exactly. And not having fear of certain animals or whatever, right?
Exactly it. So you're beginning to see the beginning stages. That's fantastic.
Right.
It could very well be that they're friendly. I've seen pictures of, and maybe you have too, of lions and tigers and other animals licking deers. You know,
Right.
deer is sitting with the lion, and
Right.
there is a change happening, I think.
Yeah. Unity consciousness with the animals too, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I can tell from personal experience, it's not much fun when a bear charges you. So you know,
Right.
that's
Oh,
not the
yeah?
best thing. Oh yeah.
What happened?
Well, I was walking on a trail along the beach, and there's a huge black bear on the beach, and then he moved up to the edge of the trees. And so I thought I could walk by, but not a chance. He came right at me.
Wow.
And
And he stopped about 20 feet from me and went back up.
uh-huh.
You had your protect.
Well, I must have had some protection, you know.
How old were you at the time?
Well, I don't know. That was only about 5 years ago.
Uh-huh. Wow.
I had an interaction with a bear like 20 years ago. There were bears that were coming down to get the garbage on the North Shore where I lived. And I watched a bear tip somebody's garbage can over, sit on it, so it popped the lid off. And then it got all the garbage it wanted and then just ambled off. I was like, oh my goodness, they're so smart. Put a big dent in the can, but the lid just flew off. He turned around and sat on it. It was the funniest thing. It was like something out of a movie or kid's book. Yeah. Mhm. Okay. Well, what I'll do for Friday is I'll pull out a bunch of points and then we can discuss a little bit more because there was a lot in that one. There was a lot. We can review it again. And then next week there is an actual audio for the channeling. So I'll post that for the weekend. So if you feel like listening to Ashira talk, because it's really fascinating to hear her speak. I'll put that up. Yeah, and we'll just go deep into galactic life. And yeah, it's all good. As long as as long as everyone's okay with that.
Yeah.
You like?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey.
Thank you to everybody for coming.
Good night.
Good, thank you.